Hi everyone! Welcome to the very first episode of this psychology series. Today, I want to discuss a simple but fundamental question. What is psychology? What kind of image do you have of psychology? Maybe it seems a little sketchy, or maybe you think of someone magically reading people's mind. The way psychology is sometimes presented online can make it seem like that. But in reality, psychology is much more down to earth. It's a field that carefully and steadily studies the mind, bit by bit, through research. According to the APA, the American Psychological Association, psychology is defined as the study of the mind and behavior. Pretty straightforward, huh? The Japanese Psychological Association even calls it the science of the mind. But then, what exactly do they mean by the mind? What is behavior? And what does it mean to study them? Let's take a look at each of these one at a time in a way that's as easy to understand as possible. First, what is the mind in psychology? Going back to the APA's definition, they describe the mind as broadly all intellectual and psychological phenomena of an organism, encompassing motivational, affective, behavioral, perceptual, and cognitive systems. That is, the organized totality of an organism's mental and psychic processes and the structural and functional cognitive components on which they depend. Ooh, that's a mouthful. So let me put it more simply. It's basically asking questions like, why and how do people want to do something? Why and how do we feel emotions like happiness or sadness? Why do we behave the way we do? How do we understand what we see or hear, and how do we think? Of course, things like brain signals and chemicals play an important role in all of this, but those alone can't fully explain everything. That's why psychology tries to understand how these different aspects of the mind work together as a system and what mechanisms are behind them. Many researchers are working every day to uncover these mysteries. Next, what is behavior in psychology? Back to the APA again, behavior is defined as an organism's activities in response to external or internal stimuli, including objectively observable activities, introspectively observable activities, and non-conscious processes. Sounds complicated again, right? To put it simply, external stimuli are things like what you see, hear, smell, or taste. Internal stimuli include your thoughts, emotions, and more. In psychology, behavior refers to how we respond to those stimuli. Some behaviors are clearly visible, like walking or talking. Others are not visible to others, like imagining something or daydreaming. Then, there are unconscious behaviors, things we do without even realizing it. Psychology aims to understand how all these behaviors are carried out and what systems and mechanisms are behind them. Finally, what does it mean to study the mind and behavior? When you hear psychological research, you might picture things like interviews or surveys, and those are definitely part of it. But there are so many more methods used in psychology. Researchers conduct experiments, collect survey data, use interviews, psychological tests, behavioral observations, and more. In recent years, they've even started measuring brain waves and physiological reactions. Using all these methods, psychologists create hypotheses like the human mind works like this, and then they test those ideas using objective, repeatable methods. This is the core of why psychology is a science. It's not about, I just feel like this might be true, but rather about testing. If we do this under the same conditions, do we get the same results? If someone else tries it in the same way, do they get the same outcome? Psychology is about trying to understand the human mind as accurately and logically as possible. And that's a quick look at the question, what is psychology? I hope you found it interesting. I'll be making more videos on psychology in the future, so if you have any thoughts or requests like, I want to learn more about this, please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. So, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. See you in the next video. Bye bye!